Hey everybody, I wanted to make this video just sharing a little bit about my journey with Plexus throughout my second pregnancy. I've been wanting to make it for a while and honestly just haven't had the time. And so here I am at the end of the day and I wanted to put my thoughts in a video. So I started on Plexus when I had an 18-month-old. I was desperate for change. I was gaining weight rapidly. I was struggling with some postpartum depression. And honestly, I needed to hijack my life back. And so I started Plexus, immediately found freedom from so many of the things that I was struggling with, lost about 15 pounds, and started sharing these supplements with others. And so that's kind of the first part of my journey. But then about a year and a half into my Plexus journey, we decided to start trying for baby number 2. And so when I got pregnant, I knew I had seen people sharing about their journeys with Plexus through their pregnancies, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. I had a pretty terrible first pregnancy. I guess it was pretty good by pregnant standards, but it was pretty terrible to me. My first pregnancy, I had 3 different UTIs. I had 4 different yeast infections. I struggled with weight gain. I gained about 55 pounds my first pregnancy. Terrible inflammation, terrible indigestion. I had terrible constipation. It was just awful. And it just wasn't a very comfortable pregnancy. I did not have control of my cravings at all. I had donuts at least 2 or 3 times a week. And then I landed in an emergency C-section after a failed induction. So that's a little history of my first pregnancy. So going into my second pregnancy, I was skeptical at best. Even though I'd seen, a year and a half of results on these supplements, I just thought really I don't know what to expect. We'll see. So I continued taking my supplements consistently. I took Triplex, Mega X, and X Factor Plus throughout my pregnancy. And I will tell you the biggest differences that I noticed. I never once struggled with constipation throughout my pregnancy. I did not have a single UTI or yeast infection throughout my second pregnancy. That was a miracle, y'all. I am just one of those people who gets UTIs. And so the fact that I didn't get that or yeast infection when they had plagued my first pregnancy, that was such a huge win for me. I had moderate, average weight gain. I gained about 35 pounds, so 20 pounds total less than my first pregnancy. That was a huge win for me on my small frame. 20 pounds is a big difference. I did not struggle with inflammation, even until the day I was due. My face did not change. I did not get puffy or inflamed. My skin stayed clear throughout the whole pregnancy, which I had struggled with hormonal acne during my first pregnancy. I know so many moms struggle with that. Okay, so now we're going to get to the fun part. So there's just a few things along the way. I would never again be pregnant without these supplements, y'all. It was night and day the difference. And so with my second son, I had the emergency C-section with my first. With my second son, I knew I was a candidate for a VBAC, a vaginal birth after C-section. And so after talking to our doctor, we decided to go the route of a midwife. We found a midwife in the Dallas area who actually partnered with a doctor to deliver at a hospital. So we wanted everything safe and, to have the care we needed if and when there was an emergency situation. But she just really gave me confidence in what I was doing and just some of the different things I was doing during this pregnancy that I hadn't done during my first, one of them being supplementation. And so fast forward and y'all, my water broke on the chiropractor table. That was interesting. At 37 weeks and 5 days, my water broke as I was mid-adjustment, and contractions slowly started. Went to the hospital that night, labored naturally for 9 hours and got my natural VBAC. So y'all, that is my story, and that is what Plexus has done for me. It gave me the confidence in knowing about natural means of health. It gave me the confidence to believe that I was able to do that. It gave me the confidence and honestly the health to be able to have that natural VBAC. So that is my story. So it gets a little bit better. So I'm going to keep talking on to my postpartum journey. So after the VBAC, The nurse came in about an hour later and she said, okay, we want you to have a bowel movement before we send you to postpartum room. And I said, oh, well, I just went poop. And she said, I'm sorry, you what? I said, yeah, I just went poop. She was like, no moms, especially not first-time moms, because the VBAC counts as first-time moms, go poop that soon. And I said, well, I did. I kind of need to go again. She was like, okay, well, I want to see it this time because you have to go in the little bucket. And sure enough, y'all, I went again. She was like, Mama, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. That never happens. I was like, okay. So anyways, y'all, that was the story of my hospital stay. We were in the hospital for like 3 days because my son was in the NICU for a gulp of water he had taken of amniotic fluid on the way out. And I wound up having to pump my colostrum. And again, the NICU nurse was like, well, I don't know what you're doing, but sister, you're getting a ton of colostrum, so keep doing what you're doing. And then the nurse would come in and she'd be like, well, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because you're doing amazing. You don't have any anxiety. You don't have any stress right now. And that was just how my whole stay went. And I just kept telling my husband, I sure am glad I have these supplements because I don't want to know where we'd be without them. And then on into my breastfeeding journey, I did not get mastitis a single time breastfeeding, whereas I had gotten that about 3 times during my first breastfeeding journey, and it's actually what ended my breastfeeding with my first son was back-to-back mastitis. So my second breastfeeding journey, having the healthy gut, having the tips from my midwife, I did not get mastitis one time, and that was huge, y'all. Huge, because that is something that when you have that happen, it typically happens again and again and again, and it stinks. If you've had it, it stinks. So my milk supply was amazing. My milk was super fatty and rich. With my first son, I would have about a fat layer like that at the top of the bottle. With my second son, Peyton, y'all, my fat layer was like this in a bottle this big. It was so fatty and so like nutrient dense milk. It's crazy when I see the comparison pictures. So I love these supplements. Obviously, they were a game changer for my pregnancy and my breastfeeding journey. Now here I am 18 months postpartum again. And y'all, this is the point with my first son where I started Plexus because I was desperate. And here I am now. I'm back below pre-pregnancy weight. I'm stronger than ever. I'm feeling amazing. And I'm a present and confident mom. And I'm just so thankful I have the tools that I have. So if you're hesitant, if you're curious at all, I hope that my story helps give you the confidence to make this choice. I wish somebody had shared Plexus with me before I got pregnant the first time. So bless your sweet friend for sharing with you. I hope my story helped you, and I'll talk to you soon.